Today, I want to talk a little bit about the data that you will get after you create and send a form to recipients, in this case, students, for a English language arts quiz on the second chapter of Harry Potter. Now, as you know, you can look at their responses in aggregate here on when you click on responses here. This is the quiz that I created, and you can go in and edit it and add questions here. You can also look at their responses by going through here, and it automatically generates a bunch of really useful charts and graphs and such. Um, and you can also look at them on an individual basis, which is kind of nice. So you can see just how a certain student did, and it'll show you the correct and incorrect answers. Um, but let's say we want to do a little more with our data. And so once you've done this and you've gotten all the responses that you need, you're going to click on this little green plus, and it says View Responses in Sheets. So I've already pulled this up. So let's pretend like I just clicked on that, and it should bring you to a sheet that has all the different responses. It's really nice because it will automatically generate a sheet for you with all the questions on this top line, and then all the different responses and which student made the different responses. So it's really handy and really nice so that you can go in and take a look at all the data together. So I want to talk briefly about some things that you can do. If you notice here, you see that my top line is frozen, which is kind of nice. If you would like to do that with a row of stuff in Sheets, you just highlight it, and then um, let me see. You go here to View and do Freeze, and you can choose however many you would like to do. I just chose the first row that I had selected, and so that is why um, you can see that it stays there while I'm scrolling up and down on the data. Obviously, with just 8 responses, it's not as useful, but if you had hundreds of responses, or just a whole class of 30 students or so, that's going to be really useful so that you can always know what column is what. Because the top row, like I said, the top row is going to be the actual questions that you asked the students. So let's look. I want to show you some formulas, just a few. There's a whole bunch of them. Oh, wait a minute. Before I get to that, I want to talk a little bit about the Explore tool. So I'm going to click on that. That's down here in the lower right, just as it is in Google Docs. So if you click on that, it does a really nice job of showing you, just automatically generated, some charts and graphs. It gives you a little bit of an analysis, just a quick visual on, you can see here for this question here, and you saw how that was highlighted when I rolled over this. Isn't that neat? So you can see that we're talking about this first question, and you can see that 4 people, when you roll over it, it tells you 4 people made that response. 2 chose that one, 1 chose that one, and 1 chose that one. And of course, you can see that visually here as well at the bottom, because this graph is automatically labeled on the X and Y axes. So, and then down here, it gives you a little summary because it represents a link to his parents that has the highest value. 4, which is the majority of the students, chose that. So it's really great. So I'm just going to scroll through here and show you. So it gives you a bar graph for each of these. And it's just really, really handy. You don't have to go through and do that anymore. And then at the very bottom, it kind of shows you the scores in relation to the time that the students took the test. Which is a anecdotal piece of information for this, but it's still useful. So anyway, so that's just a brief rundown of the Explore tool. And notice how if you roll over one of these, You can insert a new one there, and choose like how you want the how you can take that particular chart and insert it into your data. So it's really cool. So pretty cool. See how I did that? So it just allowed me to put it right on the sheet. So I'm going to remove that for now because I want to talk a little bit more about these formulas that I promised you earlier. So I'm going to close the Explore tool, and let's look at this. So notice how underneath the total number of students I have, it says 8 down there. Okay, I didn't just go through and count these out loud to myself. I actually had the sheet do it for me. So if you look, I click on that box, and I'm using the function rows. So I'm counting the number of rows by using the function rows. So to get any function started, you're going to click a equal sign, and that lets that particular cell know, and it lets Sheets know that you're getting ready to have something auto-calculated some way, somehow, using the commands that you are going to give it. So I typed in rows here, and then I specified B2 to B9, which if you click on it, you see that now it's highlighted to show you that these are the ones that are counting. So because there's 8 of those, and now if you want to see the result, you just hit tab to go to the next one, and you can see that it automatically calculates the number of rows here. So that is a quick way for me to calculate the number of students who have taken the test. Okay, and then over here, let's look at this particular formula. This one is a COUNTIF formula. And what I did here is I went in and I said I want to, so I did the equal sign, then I did COUNTIF, then I did a parentheses, and then I selected this column. And remember, you can put this formula anywhere you want. I just chose to stick it underneath this column because it kind of matches this stuff. But you could put it anywhere. You could even put it on another sheet in this particular document. And there are ways that you can actually grab data from a separate file and put it into a new sheet, which is really, really neat. But for now, so I did COUNTIF, and then here I'm doing the range, which is right above it, and then I'm looking for this, looking for the word simile, which is the correct answer for this particular question. It was a multiple choice question. This is number 2 right here. Let me click that. This is it. So this was the correct answer. So I want to see how many people chose that. And because it was a multiple choice question, they didn't have to type it in. So we don't have to worry about them not spelling stuff correctly. They just chose it based on the answer choices that I provided on that question. So how many students chose that? And it ends up being 5. Because, and we can double check it, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Again, with a group of only 8 students, I'm an EC teacher, so I usually have small groups of people in our resource setting that that may do something like this. You know, you can go through and count them yourself, but if you have, let's say you have 3 sections of English language arts, and you want to give all of the students the same test, you could, you know, you may have 90 or more responses in the same document. You're going to want the program to do this counting for you. So again, I was using COUNTIF over this range right here, E2 to E9, and I was looking for the word simile, so it automatically told me how many chose that, which is really cool. Over here, I'm doing a very similar thing, but I did something a little different here because this was a question where I allowed the students to type in the answer. Let's go back quickly and look at number 6. This one here, they were allowed to type in a short answer text here. So what I did here is instead of just typing in the word peers, which is the correct answer, if you notice here, this student right here typed in the whole name of the student, of the kid, Piers Polkus. That's the character. That's the full name of the character. And I want that to be viewed as a correct answer as well. So in order to make COUNTIF work here, I went in and typed in the command. First I did the equal sign, then I did COUNTIF, then I did the parentheses, and then I did the range of data that I'm counting. And then you go through and you type in peers and then put in an asterisk. That means anything that comes after the word peers or after those 5 characters, PIERS, anything that comes after that, no matter what the student types, will also be counted in this command. So that means this one is just as correct as this one, even if they misspelled Polkus. Now, if they misspell peers, it will not be counted as correct. But we would have to do a different command to try to collect all of those. But for now, you can see that as long as they got the first name typed in correctly, it doesn't matter what they type after that, it's still going to be counted as a correct answer. Now, if you're ever having trouble with a formula, and there's a ton of different formulas you can use to analyze your data, if you're ever having trouble with a formula, if you just click on something in the formula and then click right here, you can see down here it says learn more about COUNTIF. You click on that and it brings up the help screen, which is built in as long as you're connected to the internet, and then you can look and see it. It teaches you, it explains to you the different things you can do, and at the bottom it has related formulas that you can use to that might work. For instance, I thought about using count, but count only works on numerical values, so it only works on numbers. So I had to use COUNTIF, and I had to put the criterion that I was looking for in quotation marks. So it's amazing what all you can do with this particular aspect of G Suite. Google Sheets is just amazing, and I have really just barely scratched the surface here. But I hope you found this useful, and good luck, and thank you for watching.